Did Darwin really become a ghost just so he could live with Carrie in the afterlife and start a family with her? Well, the future of the amazing world of Gumball was finally explored by fans in a series created by @islip called The Amazing Future of Gumball. And among all the crazy twists that showed up, one of the wildest was seeing Darwin completely different. Now he's a ghost, but how did that even happen? Did he choose to become one just to stay with Carrie, or did he die by accident? And is that why he ended up having so many kids with her? We're gonna break all of that down in this video, so grab your snacks, get comfy, and get ready to have your mind blown. When Season 6 of the show ended, back in 2019 without any real closure, fans were left with a big hole in their hearts. The story wrapped up with Rob getting thrown into the void again, but we never got any answers about what was going to happen to the Wattersons or to the rest of Elmore. That's when the channel @islip had an awesome idea and decided to continue the story on their own, creating a brand new series called The Amazing Future of Gumball.
El increíble mundo de Gumball,
which takes place 24 years after the original show. This new series mainly follows the kids of Elmore's original characters, showing how the next generation turned out, crazy as ever. One of the wildest parts of this new phase of the show isn't even about the kids. It's what happened to Darwin himself. Yep, he's now a ghost living alongside Carrie, and believe it or not, they already have 8 kids together. But the part that really gets everyone talking is this: how exactly did Darwin die? Remember how in the original series there was a potion that could turn anyone into a ghost? So years later, when Darwin and Gumball were around 20 to 22 years old, they were still really close. Until one day, Gumball messed up big time and gave Darwin a mysterious liquid he thought was that ghost potion. But it was actually poison. That's right, Gumball accidentally poisoned Darwin. And from that moment on, everything changed. Darwin passed away and everyone was heartbroken. Carrie, who was already a spirit and knew how things worked in the afterlife, didn't let it go. She made a promise to the Watterson family that she'd find a way to bring Darwin back. And she did. Only now as a ghost, just like her. Even in ghost form, Darwin finally got to be with Carrie, and the two got married. And it doesn't stop there. The couple ended up having 8 ghost kids together. One of their kids is Sally, who teams up with Zach, the son of Gumball and Penny. They're the main duo of this new series and totally bring back that fun and wild energy we loved in the original show. And what's even crazier is that, even though this is a fan-made project, the storyline is so well done it feels like it was made by the actual Gumball creators. But now comes a big question. Was it really Gumball's fault that Darwin died? At first it looks like yes, but a lot of fans think something else might have gone down behind the scenes. I mean, sure, it seems like a dumb mistake, but accidentally poisoning your own brother, that's heavy. Could someone else have been behind it all? Have you ever stopped to wonder if it was really just a coincidence that Darwin turned into a ghost right after drinking that mysterious potion Gumball gave him? Yes, Gumball was the one who handed him the drink, and soon after, Darwin died. But what if someone had secretly swapped the potion for some kind of disguised poison, counting on Gumball being too naive to notice, and unintentionally causing his best friend's death? This kind of theory starts to make more sense when you connect the dots and take a closer look at who was behind everything, and especially who benefited the most from Darwin becoming a ghost in the first place. If we really analyze the situation, everything seems to have worked out a little too well for one specific person, Carrie. Seriously, have you noticed how she acts when Darwin's whole family is at the cemetery, mourning his loss, and she just casually says she's going to bring him back? Like it was already part of her plan from the very beginning. To understand this whole situation better, let's go back and remember a few key things that were shown in different episodes of The Amazing World of Gumball. For example, in the episode The Ghouls, that's episode 25 of Season 6, we learn a pretty wild fact. Carrie is over 300 years old. Why is that important? Because it means she has a deep knowledge of magic rituals, spells, and secret formulas, including the one she used to bring Darwin back as a ghost. Plus, she definitely knows all about potions that can fake these kinds of effects, and poisons that look just like mystical potions too. Another super important piece of info comes from Carrie's own backstory in an episode called The Mirror, episode 4 from Season 3, and you've probably seen this one. Gumball ignores a chain email and ends up being haunted by a spirit named Leva Everything, who lives in mirrors and causes total chaos, even kidnapping the entire Watterson family. That's when Carrie shows up and drops a bombshell. Leva Everything is actually her dad, a human who fell in love with a ghost, Carrie's mom, and suffered because he couldn't touch her. Interesting detail, we never see Carrie's mom in the classic series, but she does show up alongside her husband in The Amazing Future of Gumball, when they go visit their grandkids. So how did her dad try to fix this issue? He turned to a forbidden spellbook to finally be able to kiss his beloved, but the spell came with a terrible price. He got cursed and trapped as a ghost inside the mirrors, completely cut off from the world. In the end, Carrie helps break the curse, and he finally reveals his real name, Vladis. But the wildest scene comes right after that. Vladis runs toward Carrie for a hug, but since she's still a ghost, he passes straight through her, hits the ground, and dies. That's right, only then does he become a ghost too, and finally gets to hug his daughter the way he always wanted. And this is where the connection to Darwin's story starts getting even clearer. That exact same forbidden book that Vladis used to try to be with Carrie's mom is the same one Carrie later uses to bring Darwin back, now as a ghost. It's easy to see that after everything that happened with her dad, Carrie figured out the only way to truly love someone and be with them forever was if that person became a ghost too. After all, she doesn't have a physical body, but a living person can become a spirit, just like her dad did. This had already been hinted way back in the first season, in the episode The Ghost, the 12th episode of Season 1, when Carrie borrows Gumball's body just to taste food. That moment shows she can only interact with the real world when she's inside someone else's body, meaning she'll never be able to have her own physical flesh and blood form. So, when you add up all these details, it starts to feel like maybe Darwin's death wasn't really an accident after all. Could it be that Carrie knew exactly what she was doing? Everything we've gone over so far lines up perfectly with the events of the series, but there's still one more interesting point. This one's more of a theory, but it could actually help support the idea that Darwin's death might have been something Carrie planned all along, just so they could be together. One of the biggest clues lies in the case of Vladis, Carrie's dad, who also came back as a ghost. This might mean that in order for someone to return in that form, the death has to be accidental. It can't be something done on purpose. It has to be a real accident, you know. And that brings up a super important detail. There's no way Carrie could have killed Darwin directly. If she had poisoned him herself, the spell probably wouldn't have worked at all. So what did she do instead? She managed to convince Gumball, with that sweet, trusting way of his, to make the biggest mistake of his entire life, giving Darwin the potion without knowing it had been tampered with. That mistake created exactly the situation Carrie needed, an accident caused by someone else so she could finally make her biggest dream come true, marrying Darwin. And the craziest part, now they have no less than 8 ghost kids. Yep, a whole little army of mini Darwins and mini Carries flying around, which just proves that, in the end, she got everything she ever wanted. And honestly, Darwin himself seems pretty chill with this whole new afterlife thing. Let's be real, he kinda enjoys being a ghost, doesn't he? And the coolest part? Nicole and Richard are now officially grandma and grandpa. They've got 10 grandkids, Gumball and Penny's 2 kids, Zach and Emmy, and the 8 little ghost babies from Darwin and Carrie, making up the cutest supernatural family in all of Elmore. If this theory gets confirmed by @Icelep, it could explain a lot. It even helps take some of the guilt off Gumball's shoulders. After all, even though he handed over the potion that triggered everything, maybe he's not really the one to blame for all of this. What really matters is that Gumball and Darwin, now grown up, managed to move past that trauma together. These days, they even work as a team. Gumball uses Darwin's invisibility to spy on stuff at work, dig up useful info, and even score some raises at the factory where he works. And the best part, he shares everything with Darwin since the poor guy can't exactly get a real job anymore, being a ghost and all. But hey, we all know this is just the beginning. There's still so much that could be revealed in the next parts of this awesome universe created by @Icelep. And we're seriously hoping he keeps making more episodes, and maybe even confirms if this theory is 100% true, because if it is, then everything really fits perfectly. So that's it, folks. That's the whole story behind what happened to Darwin in the amazing future of Gumball. A fan-made series that seriously feels like it could be totally official because of how high quality it is. And since you made it this far, it's the perfect time to check out the 2 other videos popping up on your screen right now. Just click on either one. You've got nothing to lose and a whole lot of fun to gain.